How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where we're bringing Brabham back to the very top of Formula 1. The last episode, we had the Singapore Grand Prix and a great result on P5, and the call to come in early on that last set of tyres to come in for slicks was a bold one, but it really paid off. I felt like I started to get an understanding for the tyre model a bit more, and I had decent pace. I was stressing out at the start because I thought I'd made a massive mistake on the tyres and the setup, but luckily it was just the tyres overheating and we managed to end up with a great result. And imagine if we hadn't have had that problem where we dropped back, we may have even ended up into the top three if those strategies had kind of played out in the same way. But nevertheless, a great result in Singapore, and now we're heading into the Russian Grand Prix. Straight into qualifying now, and I felt very, very comfortable actually. The setup that we had on was good. It didn't really change a huge amount, but also as we were driving along, I've noticed that because of Singapore, with the changeable conditions and the setup changes I'd made, this is the first time that I've really got a grasp of how these upgrades have improved the car, and it was pretty clear early on with the pace that I had and how I felt that those upgrades were certainly working the right way. So hopefully we can get a good result here and keep getting points finishes, to be honest with you. This first lap was okay. Could have been better, but coming around the final corner, took out the bollard. Not the best lap personally, but I knew I had a bit more in me. And P15 in the midway point as I was advancing towards the end, and then Mick in 19th, and then I've just managed to get out in time. And as you can see here, half a second up, managed to get a really good run on this lap. I limited those mistakes, managed to find a bit of time, ran a bit wide there, started losing a bit of time, and as I was these two corners here, this little kink and braking, I couldn't brake late enough. I felt like every time I braked later, I'd run even wider than that. You can see I didn't get the best of exits, but on the previous lap I'd got a bit of oversteer, so I managed to get away with it in comparison to the first run. And then through here, just losing time on the exit there, I kind of carried too much into the first one, lost out on the second one, had to try and balance it out. And then as you can see here, I kind of ran a bit wide on the exit, just because the line comes up so quick. I tried to carry a bit of speed, but it didn't really work out. So P9, that glitch is still there, said P15, Mick in P20. I managed to do a pretty good lap in P9 in Q1 and into Q2 now. Did my first run on that used set of tyres and then ended up going onto a fresh set here. About a second and a half, a tenth and a half up even, coming through turn 3, this long kink, and then decent braking, try and get the car rotated prior to the corner, and then again matching myself. The first run actually was pretty good. You can see I'm only 3.5 tenths up here. Managed to carry good speed through this section, ran a bit wide, which lost a bit of time unfortunately as I ran over the track, and then decent run out of that last corner onto this last DRS zone into the final section now. Coming through the right-hander, I gained a fair bit of time on entry, and again lost on exit. I think I had to try and slow it up. I was trying to carry too much speed into the first bit, and the same here. I sort of learned from my mistake. I managed to get the car stopped and power through the right-hander. That little bit of curb didn't help me either, so only a tenth and a half up so far. Coming into the final couple of corners, I ran wide, and that lost me time as well. Started to overdrive, and only nearly just 3 tenths, I think, up on my previous lap on a used set of tyres, and it is P12 for the Russian Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to Sochi and the Russian Grand Prix, one of 8 cities in the world to play host to both the Olympics and a Formula 1 race. It's a Grand Prix that's proven difficult to crack for anyone beyond the first 2 rows of the grid in recent years, so let's see if that can change today. It's time to go racing then at the Sochi Autodrome, where the long run down to the heavy braking zone at turn 2 is one of 2 DRS zones around this 3.6 mile circuit. The other, of course, down into turn 13. 18 corners make up a lap here today, with an average speed somewhere in the region of 130 miles an hour. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. That was a solid result in their last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen and Ricciardo, Stroll, Sainz, Norris and Daniel Kvyat, Mr. Monaco, Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi and Ocon, Grosjean, Perez, Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher, Russell, Latifi, Gasly and Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
Here we are, start of the Russian Grand Prix. Qualifying was pretty decent, actually. I felt like I had a good car underneath me. I managed to get a decent little setup going. And yeah, P11 now that Perez has a grid penalty. So hopefully we can make some moves in this race and get straight into the points early on and then see where we can go from there. Let's have a look at this strategy. Okay, so pretty clear one stop. I had a little look at the 2 stop, but it's just too much in it. The tyre wear is not normally that bad here. A couple of the corners you have to be a bit careful with oversteer on the exit, getting on power. But other than that, yeah, it's going to be pretty clear one stop. Weather looks absolutely fine, so hopefully we can make some moves in this race. And let's get into it. Ready for the start of the race. Kvyat just in front. Great start. Up the inside of Sainz, made a little bit of contact, but that's alright. Got that wrong. Tried to send it a bit too hard. Now we're kind of coming under pressure from Stroll, who has got around us. See if I can send out the inside here. Block him out. Set our sights on Ricciardo. Managed to block him off just enough so that he didn't come at me afterwards, which worked out quite nicely. If we can stay within DRS range of the cars ahead. Normally we're pretty good in the race in comparison to qualifying, so this could bode well for us in this race today. Use my ERS. Try and make some moves potentially. So we slipstream up to the back of Ricciardo. Terrible run out the final corner. Use that ERS up. Trying to catch up as best as I can, but decent run through turn 1 there. Didn't go over track limits either. It's very easy to do there. The track really pinches in on you on the exit. Car feels good at the moment. Feels really good. Use my ERS. Maybe we can make a move on Ricciardo here. Up into P6. Might have to wait till we've got DRS, to be honest with you. Make sure I get a good run out of the final corner. We'll have DRS, so will he. We are pulling up to the back of him quite nicely. Gaining, but not enough. Have to check up a little bit into turn 1 there. Try to carry a bit of speed, because I know I'm quick there, but it was just a bit slower than I was. Wasn't able to get enough. We'll still have DRS, but I made a couple of mistakes towards the back end of that last sector. Stroll's not that close, so hopefully we can gap Stroll out of DRS range. It's a good thing I'm good through turn 1 and stay behind him. I'm a bit wide there. purple first sector. Got distracted by the purple sector and I've ended up running wide. A good run here. Not going to make the move yet. Great run. This is our chance now. ERS. Maybe I can hang it around the outside here. Make the move, try and get that stopped. Great move there on Danny Rick. Up into P6 now, right behind Vettel. You can tell the upgrades that we had on the car from before Singapore are really starting to work properly now. We'll get DRS. Can try and get within stay within a second to the next DRS zone. Try and get Ricciardo. Those upgrades have certainly helped us. Car feels really good around here. It's a track I'm pretty good at. I feel like I'm comfortable around here in general. Question is, do we have enough pace to stick with them, or will they end up? Oh, I've got that horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. Danny Rick's going to come pretty quick at me now. Probably might have to defend or use up as much ERS as I can, but maybe not too much. I'm good through turn 1, so I should gap him. Didn't get the best run through there, tried to carry too much speed. Mick Schumacher's out of this race. Wonder what's happened to him. I've got engine wear. Maybe he's got some as well, I don't know, but that is not good for the team. Now I'll end up being one of our sponsor goals not accomplished as well. Got that horribly wrong. As soon as you get out of that DRS range, it just messes you up massively. I'm kind of coming under huge amounts of pressure. But now from Danny Rick and Stroll it is. I have to engage my ERS. I'm trying to save it for this. Oh, press pause. My bad. Gonna have to go defensive. Try and let Danny Rick know that he's not going to be able to get past me that easy. Just don't have the pace of the cars ahead. I'm going to come into the pits this lap. It's a lap early, but I want to get off these tyres, try and get an undercut, which we typically end up doing. Usually pays off, so hopefully it will help us out in this race as well. Vettel. Danny Rick's coming with us. You just see where he ends up. Hopefully with the Ferrari and the Red Bull coming in. Maybe Danny Rick gets held up by someone going past him. We need a quick pit stop here from the boys. Get out now. Oh, we got lucky there. 2.8 wasn't that quick, but we are out ahead of Danny Rick. Verstappen's been jumped by Vettel in the pits, and hopefully with this traffic coming out, the Williams, we can hopefully gap Ricciardo, get past Russell here. Good move. I imagine they'll come into the pits this lap, but don't want to be stuck behind him. Be quicker through this final little sector. Let's have 1.4 now on Danny Rick. I reckon my pace was quicker than him, just wasn't able to break away from him because of the DRS. So hopefully this means we can gap him. Just keep pushing on these tyres for now. If I have to manage a bit later on, then that's what I've got to do, but I'd rather build the gap right now. I am gapping Ricciardo. Jeff reckons by 0.3 a lap. You know, considering we've only done one on this set of tyres. Doesn't look like it, but we are seeming to gain a bit in general, which is great because I was coming under pressure and I couldn't really get away from them. Whereas now I've got the opportunity, if I keep driving consistently, to get past and get a good result here. Those mistakes have cost me a few tenths there to Ricciardo. If I can just keep him outside of DRS, then we'll be fine. But as soon as he gets inside a second, then that's when we're in trouble. How's he gained that much? He's gained like half a second in 3 corners. That's put him in DRS range, and I mean, I don't know, I made half a mistake, wasn't a big mistake, and now he's within a second, which just doesn't make any sense to me, but just got to keep pushing, get to the end of this race. He is catching. That gap was 1.5 at the beginning. Not very good out through that last sector. The car struggles with rotation. First 2 sectors, absolutely fine, but as soon as I get into that final sector, you just... Oh, that was good. You need to get that rotation. Whenever I try and look behind, sometimes I press the little start button on my wheel. That's why I always end up pausing it. So I'm trying to look behind like that, and then I end up pressing the start button by accident. I had to defend into there. I didn't think he was going to send that, and then all of a sudden he's come right up the inside of me. But has given me a little bit of a gap, but he's just going to keep coming every lap now, isn't he? This is going to be the situation until the end of this race. Again, I don't understand how I've got so much wear on my ICE, and I don't think I've got any left, so it's going to mean I'll probably have to take a grid penalty for the next round. Oh, that's so bad. Need to use third there. Terrible. Not looking likely on this lap. But hopefully he just keeps coming under a bit of pressure, because if he does, then I can break away a little bit. Just have a breather for a couple of laps rather than have to worry so much about what's going on behind me. See how much they gain through those 2 corners. Try and brake a bit later, and I can't make the corner for whatever reason. And again, looking behind, and I have to go. Hopefully that's blocked him off enough, and he's made a mistake there, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. Try and block him off enough where he's now under pressure. Now's the time to push as hard as I can, no mistakes. Build this gap as quickly as possible. Stroll has got past. One of the AlphaTauris is trying to join in to the battle. Ran a bit wide there. How much they just gained so much through those two corners. I just don't get it. If I was to push any harder, I'd be coming off. I'd just go straight through past the corner. Try to focus on getting a good exit out of there, slow it down on the entry just to drive out of the corner as best as I can, so that I can limit gap. But what? Well, he's lost a bit of front wing. What on earth has happened there? Hang on. I'm looking at all the stuff that's going on the dash to see how my tyres are. And next thing you know, Stroll's just sent it up the inside. I ran a little bit wide. Okay. Just driven into me. I could squeeze them a bit, but I was actually a bit distracted with what I was doing on the dash. And right at the last second, about now, I've noticed that he's come close, but he's got wing damage now, so hopefully that'll mean we can gap him. It looks likely, but I was just looking at the dash to see the tyre wear on here. I was kind of looking down to my right hand side. I knew where I was at on the track. And next thing you know, I've seen the red arrows in the bottom right hand corner, and Stroll's trying to come up the inside through the kink rather than waiting. Oh, that's exactly what happens if I try and carry too much speed through there. And there. Wow, okay. I need to focus. I'm going to shock her here. I'm not sure what else I can do. We're right with Kvyat and Gasly and AlphaTauri on the performance index, but look how much earlier I have to brake to try and get this thing stopped in comparison to them. I think that's where I lose a lot of the time, but I try and brake later. And you would have seen before how much time I lose going past the corner and then mess the rest of it up. So I'll Stroll with the fast lap of the race after he's put a new wing on. Probably set of softs to try and get himself as high up as possible in this race. But I'm coming under real pressure now. It's going to be a bit of a fight to keep this position. Still got DRS. Let me know what you guys think of the Spanish Grand Prix on the weekend. In my opinion, I think it was probably one of the most boring races I've ever watched. Kvyat coming right behind, should be okay. Okay, he's going to send it. Try and block him off. He just got so much more grip through there. Yeah, let me know what you think of the Spanish Grand Prix. I think the track isn't really suited to these cars, but also the cars themselves have just too much downforce that creates turbulent air. I know the new regs are coming in soon, but I'm not sure at what point F1 have changed their way of thinking from let's make these cars as fast as they've ever been to right, we need to sort overtaking out, because they must have looked at it. They've got very smart people there to say, okay, if we make them this quick, everyone, overtaking is going to be nigh on impossible. And the gap that Mercedes have is just, I mean, Max is showing how classy he is, but Hamilton lapped everyone up to 4th, which is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Around a track that's not particularly long or it's not that short, so I'm under big pressure here. I'm not sure what else I can do. A short shift like a muppet. Maybe I could try and maybe concentrate on oversteer. That might be P6 gone. Like my tyres are starting to go off. Just too busy talking. And now Kvyat's got P6. Raikkonen's going ahead of Ricciardo. rich fuel mix till the end of this race. Hopefully that helps us out. He's got a bit of oversteer there. Just got to keep pushing. Maybe that last DRS zone will be our last chance. How have I ended up with that? How on earth has that happened? I don't know where our pace has gone, but we just lost pace, and it might be due to the engine wear. As you can see, it's a dark red now. Because I've just lost pace all of a sudden. I'll be able to get to the end of this race, but disappointed, really disappointed, because I felt like, I mean, P7's a good result, don't get me wrong, but I felt like P6 was probably in the bag. Driver of the day, I wouldn't say that. I think Kvyat's done a pretty mega job, but disappointed to lose it like that. I mean, they had more pace, gained a second on that final lap, which I couldn't do anything. I was losing in the straights from the ICE, and that was it. Hamilton wins the race, but yeah, disappointing. I felt like, I mean, don't get me wrong, P7's good. The car felt great. I was fighting with Ricciardo, and then that second stint, after sort of 5, 6, 7 laps on those tyres, I just lost so much time. And maybe it was due to the ICE and the engine wear, but it's disappointing. Some ways I'm happy, some ways I'm not. It's a tough one. Let me know what you think, whether P7's a good result, but I know if I was driving in real life, I'd be disappointed to lose out on a position like that right at the end. So there we have it. End of the Russian Grand Prix. P7 it is. So there we have it. Lewis Hamilton wins the race from Bottas, Vettel, Leclerc, Verstappen. Kvyat taking that P6 away from us right at the last, and P7 for us. I'm disappointed. I'll be honest, I'm disappointed. P7's a decent result, 6 more points, but when you're in P6 with a lap to go, I just didn't have enough at the end. Car wasn't there underneath me, unfortunately, which is a shame. And Mick with that DNF, head down to the bottom. Mick with the DNF, I don't know what's happened to him, but it is what it is. Let's get into the highlights. Managed to get a great start off the line. Got ahead of Kvyat and the 2 McLarens, I believe it was. Maybe one McLaren, not too sure. Yeah, both McLarens up the inside. Got a great launch, and then up with Stroll through into turn 1, managed to outbrake them, nearly made it up the inside of Vettel, but I had to just back out of it, and that's where I lost time. Came under pressure from Stroll. Danny Rick ran a bit wide there, and the corner cutting system was a bit strange round here. You could do stuff like that and get away with it, but then you'd cut on the inside ever so slightly by accident, and it wouldn't do anything. But we managed to get ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Shame it didn't show the move really, but it's up the inside through that section where I really struggled, to be honest. This is after the pit stop, out ahead of the Williams of George Russell, and that gave us a good gap to begin with, so I could press on early into the race. Here we are, slipstreaming up down the straight, slight kink in it, and then up the inside. I had to get that move done to try and cover off Ricciardo behind me, and then it was just about trying to set our sights on getting as much pace out of the car as possible. And towards the end of the race, they started to catch up, took out the bollard there, got it stuck underneath, but that's fine. And yeah, it was just a shame that we ended up getting overtaken right at the end, and I wasn't that far behind Verstappen on early pace, but the tyres started to kick in. I feel like the engine wear was a real struggle, if I'm honest. Here's Ricciardo trying to send it around the outside. I was able just to block him off quite nicely. He made a mistake, and that gave me a good gap. And if you think about how this situation here, that led to me having nearly 2 seconds on the cars behind. With Stroll hitting me, we didn't get really any damage. Trying to use all the track through the kink to turn 3. And then we came across the line, but P7 in the end, but I am disappointed. there we have it, the end of the Russian Grand Prix. Bittersweet result, really. P7 was a good result. If you'd said P7 at the start of the race, I would have taken it. But considering the position we were in, the situation that happened with Stroll, they all dropped back, and then to have that little pace was a real struggle, and it's hard to take sometimes. I've been there myself, and it hurts afterwards. You know, people will be happy with the result, but at the end of the day, you as a driver know that you don't want to be overtaken by somebody else. It's that battle between driver and team, and we got outdone by Kvyat in this time round. Maybe the engine wear didn't help out. We're at 75+%, which may have affected our pace. I believe it's so, but we'll have to wait and see. But Japan in the next one, proper old school track, awesome circuit, and hopefully we'll have a good one in the next round. As always, thank you ever so much for watching these videos. I really appreciate the support, and for more F1 2020 My Team content, please like and subscribe onto the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.